See you all super excited in the chat. It's good to see you all here nice and early, ready to start a new trading week. What a crazy week it's been. Ethereum just going nuts. I know right now you probably don't even care about Bitcoin. You probably just want to know what my thoughts are on ETH. We will get into that today. We'll have a look at everything. For those of you who are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Let me know where you're from. Big shout out to everyone in the Discord. Been really impressed with your trading skills lately. It's been great to see. Also, yes, thank you so much. We do have Ethereum mooning, but we also have this YouTube channel mooning. And on the weekend, you guys rallied so hard to help get me over the 10K mark. So really appreciate that. Couldn't have done it without you guys, without your support, without you sharing my videos on the internet. Your likes, your subscribes and comments all really helped me get here. And this was a big goal of mine. So massive thank you to all of you for helping me get there. Who have we got in the chat? FOMO Joe. FOMO Joe. Well, hope you're not FOMOing, Joe. Hey, Ryan. What's up? Who else we got? Kaylin, Faith, Bertha, Jason, Romit, Raymond, Victor. Welcome everyone. Yes, please smash that like button. Let's help get this video around the internet, save people from making a really bad decision. Now, we're going to talk about ETH first because I know that's what everyone cares about. And we'll come back to Bitcoin. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is the king. And if Bitcoin wants to turn this market around, it will do that for everything. So zooming out, let's talk about what's happened so far on a daily time frame. As we know, this area right here was the CPI news event where we had that big stop hunt kind of zone. It took us down into around the 1K mark, and ever since then we've just been flying high. Now we know everyone's going crazy about the whole ETH 2.0 and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you can't, it's not intelligent, I should say. It's not that intelligent to be buying now after on the daily time frame 1, 2, 3, 4 massive green candles. All we can really do, I also don't think it's that intelligent to look for reversals because we need to wait for the steam to run out. What we have going on right now is opposite day. It is the opposite to Lunar Day. Remember when Luna just absolutely died? This is opposite day. We've inverted the chart of Luna, and that's what's happening here. And if you're not in, you're not in, and that's it. And you need to wait for one of two things: a decent pullback for an entry if this is to continue, or a reversal to short it back down when this is over. What is the likelihood of this being over? I mean, the reality is that we do have extremely bullish news on Ethereum, and this could keep going because we're smashing levels on the daily time frame. It still doesn't make this a good area to buy. So all we can really do at this point in time is have a look at the facts. And the facts that we are always interested in is where are the most recent market maker candles that haven't been recovered. On the daily time frame, we're only looking at this portion of this particular candle right here, which price is currently wicked into. That's taking us up to around the 1700 mark, but coincidentally, it's also very close to the 800 EMA. So that's our first goal, is to see if we recover this entire zone. If we do, the 800 EMA is our next area of interest. If we can get through all of that, then we're looking much higher, which is up here at this zone right here, which also coincidentally lines up with the daily 200 EMA. Now that's just over $2,100 for ETH. So between 21, or let's say 22 to 23 and a half kind of area. If ETH just kept going from here up to this area, there's no entry. So if you're long, great, make sure you're taking profits on the way up. Please make sure you're taking profits on the way up, because when this decides to reverse, it's probably going to reverse fast and you're probably going to give back a lot of profits if you're not managing your trades extremely well. So if this does just continue all the way up, there's no entry if you're not already in. What we do have, if we're looking at a typical model on the daily time frame, we have the W formation on the daily. We have the break with an MM candle of the 50 EMA. The next step is to wait for a retest of the 50. And if you get a successful retest of the 50, you could then have a target of the 200. That would be only rise level 2 on the daily time frame. However, what I caution you to think of is, whilst this looks absolutely crazy and amazing, if we just zoom out and get some perspective here, it is a blimp. And overall, we are still very much, we are still very much in a bear market. We're still very much in a downtrend. So even if I move this out to grab this peak here, this could continue to run up to here, to this daily trend line, hit our final target, and still be macro bearish for ETH. So just keep that in mind. Like, if you're in it, great. Just be careful about it and just make sure you're taking profits on the way up. That's number one. So let's look down on a lower time frame, on the 4 hour, and see what's going on there. So we are currently in the dead gap zone. Asia has not yet opened, but excuse me. But at this point in time, now let's look at our facts on the 4 hour. Our fact on the 4 hour is that we have a W formation here. If we're looking at this area, that was the peak formation. No, that was the peak formation low there. But let's just say this whole thing was a W, just for the sake of argument, right? Something like that. It was just a really ugly one. So we've got that. We've got a peak formation low. We've created a W formation over a really long period of time. Now we have, within this rise here, we have 1, we have 2, 3 very clear zones. So we've got 3 rises within a level 1 rise. We are so due for this to come back, for a pullback to prove itself. And look, if it does, again, it is so perfect to come back to retest the 50 and the 200 EMA on the 4 hour as well and still remain bullish. So those are the things that they obviously take extreme patience, and with ETH being so extremely bullish right now, maybe we won't get that deep of a pullback. We probably won't. But you want to be taking high quality trades rather than just FOMOing in because you think this thing is never going to turn around. But if you're not in, you're going to get a great trade if this does successfully retest the EMAs, which would also be a retest of the W formation, by the way, and then ride that up to the 4 hour 800. Still going to be a huge trade, but trying to long it from here, just the probability of your trade playing out is extremely low. In addition to that, we've been tracking the delta for the longs on Ethereum in the Discord, and we have never seen ETH delta this high. It's currently sitting at, it's hard to see here, so I'll just read it. It's currently sitting at 23 billion. That's a kind of level that we normally see for Bitcoin, not for Ethereum. Ethereum, we normally see around 7-8 billion at a high. So this is just extremely out of control. And what you can see up here is that as we were rising on this rise here and this one here and this one here, people were trying to pick the tops and short it. And you know that because the size of the blue circles up here, right? Then we went into this consolidation, and this was Monday, I'm pretty sure. Since then, these blue circles have gotten really small. That means that bears are basically going, I'm kind of not willing to try and pick the top anymore. I'm just going to wait this out until it runs out of steam. You can also see that here when the spikes are only coming out to around the 40 million mark. Whereas previously they were on par with these huge bullish spikes here at the 140 million mark. So bears are definitely a little too scared to short right now, which means the liquidity has to at some point soon dry out for the market makers. Like, they can't keep driving price up if there aren't short positions to liquidate. So that's kind of a positive. If you're waiting for price to pull back, that's a positive, because they may just, pull back to take out a little bit of this, people who longed too late, before they then continue up. And if that all happened, that is where we get our retracement for the next level up. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. The other thing too is, like, just because a delta is super, super high doesn't mean it's a guarantee that we're going to turn around. Again, when you have a major fundamental crypto event, the delta can do super strange things. We saw it with Luna. Bitcoin's delta usually gets up to around the 20-30 billion. When Luna crashed, it got up to 54 billion. When there was another event after that, I think it might have been the Three Arrows Capital one. I can't exactly remember, but that was another one where it went up to 50 billion as well. We have the opposite of that. We just have a bullish, fundamentally great news event. So that delta can continue to blow out. So I'd caution you to not just look for shorts just because the delta is high. One thing I always say to the guys in my Discord is, in order to take a trade, you need to have two things. Number one, a setup. Number two, a trigger. So your setup is, something like a W formation. Your trigger would be a hammer on the second peak of the W. Right now, you don't really have a setup, and you certainly don't have a trigger, because you can't have a trigger without a setup. So just be really, really careful of that. I do like this level right here on the 4-hour time frame for the pullback to come in. It also could be all over, but for my feeling right now is that we probably will have bullish price action potentially for the rest of the week. And the reason that I say that is because we have some pretty big events coming up, but not this week, next week. So this whole week could be the pump into next week's dump, pretty much. Those events are, sorry, this is what we've got going on this week. It's not that big a deal. I mean, it is, but it's not. The bigger deals is here. The Thursday, the 28th of July, we have the FOMC again, and we also have the federal funds rate. These are going to be big events. That is, keep that date in mind, because if this trend continues up until towards the end of the month, this is around this date is when you want to take major caution. You want to be, cashing out if you're in really good positions, or at least at a minimum taking, major profits. Because like I said, when you zoom out on the daily, we are in a macro bearish trend still, just with a little pump in between. In addition to that, we also have a lot of earnings reports, if this wants to load, yes, coming out around the same time. A lot of the major companies. Now, this could crash, the S&P, NASDAQ, etc. If it does, crypto comes down with it. We've got Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook. All of these things are due around about the same time, or a day or two either side of the FOMC and the federal funds rate. So major caution towards the end of this month. Now, we'll talk about that more as we get into it, but knowing this ahead of time means that on a higher time frame, we do have the room for Bitcoin and ETH to remain in a bullish uptrend for another week. We do have that opportunity. We'll see how we go as the week starts to play out. But even with that in mind, you can't long from here. So your best chances are looking for a lower time frame, either a short position if you get the setup and the trigger, but your short position may end up being just a short position back to the 200 EMA. Still would be a very good trade with a potential bag flip if it gets all the way down there. But then we also want to line it up to a market maker candle to see if it's going to make sense. And this one right here has not yet been recovered. So we might get if we get our pullback, we might get it just to above the EMAs. Going to be perfect, but we rarely get a perfect trade that just goes the way it's meant to. But again, if you don't get the setup that you want, there's no trade. You just sit on your hands and you wait. So you have to set your standards and you have to set your rules. And for me, this is my rule. I'm already long, but if I was looking to long ETH, it would be a retest of those EMAs on the 4-hour, or I'm not interested. The only other thing that I would do, I would consider shorting it back to those EMAs, just in case it doesn't last. And I'll be looking for that on a smaller time frame. The only reason is because, as I showed earlier, I've seen those 3 bursts on the 4-hour time frame in that rise. So I'm happy to look for shorts at this area as long as I get the setup and I get the trigger. So with that in mind, what is the setup and what is the trigger? Well, let's zoom out on the 15-minute time frame, which is going to be a harder time frame to actually try and trade when ETH is just so ridiculously bullish. But let's just try and zoom out to the peak. Here we go. So again, we can see 3 very distinct rises here. We've got one here, we've got another one here, and then we've got this level here. Does not mean we won't get an extension. So we need to keep that in mind. But ideally, what I personally would start looking for, if I'm going to get a reversal trade on this, is I want to see traders getting trapped at this level now. So I know my zone that I'm interested in from a higher time frame. I want to see price not be able to get into that zone, or if it does, just be a stop hunt, something like this, a wick that just can't break through that zone. That's going to be better for me. I want to see traders trapped. This looks like it's not technically a railroad, but it's a bearish candle formation at this point in time on the Asia Open. So that's one good sign. However, we have seen many times in this run where price has shot up, bearish candle, and then it keeps going. So that to me is not enough. Usually it would be, even here, bullish candle, reversal, price just continued up. So just be careful of that. However, this is potentially one side of an M formation. So that is my potential setup, but now I need the trigger. So the trigger is the inverted hammer on the other side of the M, which might end up looking something like that. So I'm going to let price, if price wants to continue down from here, I'm just going to let it go. And if it then has a retracement that creates the lower high with a hammer or a railroad or some sort of bearish candlestick pattern at the peak of this lower high, I'm in from there. I'm in for a reversal, and I'm going to try to ride that back down to the previous area on the 4-hour time frame. Now, here's something else I just wanted to check. I don't know if it's still there, but it was there last night, and it was there for a really long time. It's gone. It's gone. So we had last night all day, there was 31K worth of ETH orders. I think it was at 1370. It was at 1370. Now it looks like it's been split up here. This is a very, very high amount of orders. So somebody wants to long ETH with a lot of money at around $1,400. So if you do get that information retracement, I don't know if those orders are going to stay there, but definitely keep an eye on the $1,400 area, because we may not come all the way back into that zone if those orders stay there, okay? All right, that's all I really have to say about ETH. Let's do a quick look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin on the daily, when you zoom out and have a look at it, it's only just creating its W formation right now, pretty much. I've been tracking the delta at the peaks, and you can see here that once the delta gets into those high levels, it causes a reversal each and every time. Currently we're at 28 billion. But for Bitcoin itself, if this here is like an ugly kind of W formation, we haven't broken the W yet, and we haven't even broken the 50 on the daily. So again, no need for FOMO, because when you zoom out and have a look at where we are realistically, we are still underneath a retail bearish trend line, very much so. Now, if Bitcoin can break through that 50 on the daily and retest it successfully, maybe it will go up to this trend line, because again, the trend line magically lines up with the 800 EMA, and we've kind of got somewhere around here. So that also goes up to the 800 EMA. So that's at about 32, 34K. I mean, that's very, very high. Not to say that it should come from here, but if we were to have a bullish trend for the rest of the week leading up to those news events, even though we would still be macro bearish, we could still get a pretty decent run. And also, for anyone who didn't sell and has been holding on, it's an amazing exit point. If you wanted to sell, it's an amazing exit point if we were lucky enough to get up there. Just keep in mind that we are in a macro bear trend. Like, that's the main thing. And I'm absolutely not calling 30K. I'm just saying, if we look at the facts, and this trend can continue to hold as a nice trend with pushes and nice pullbacks and pushes and nice pullbacks on the daily time frame, we could get into that little under 30K kind of region. There's just so much that needs to happen, however, because that delta is so ridiculously high. It needs to wipe out people who are long now. It needs to wipe out some of them before this can continue up. The beauty of it is that most retail is longing level 3 on a lower time frame, meaning they don't have to pull back that far in order to wipe out a lot of people to give them the accumulation to keep going up. So I'm not sure if that made really perfect sense, but the moral of the story is, just because a delta is super high doesn't mean major reversal. It means, let me just run this and see if we can get Bitcoin. It's very slow, I apologize. Really what we want to look for is, where is the major money, like those big circles, that they could come back to, and it's just a retracement on a higher time frame and they keep going. So I want to see that for Bitcoin. Let me have a look at these questions whilst this is loading. ETH is playing by its own rules now. Yeah, I mean, it is for the moment. It is exactly what I mean. Like, when Luna was just crashing, it just took over, and that's kind of where we are right now. It won't be forever though, so certainly not a time to get cocky about it, you know. Not directing that at you who wrote that, by the way, just saying generally, don't think, like, you know, the whole flipping in comments and everything, like, let's just get a grip. So 23.6 is the highest level, but see here how we've got these big circles here. Like, they could bring price just back to what have we got here, 22.4 and 21.9. So just a little bit of a retracement is going to allow them to accumulate contracts and wipe out people who are FOMOing long at the highest level, and still have, they're now out, market makers got more contracts, then he runs it up for another level. Where is the delta? And that's what happened here. See how we've got this big dip? So they ran it up, created all these big circles here last night, ran it down. They wiped out all these. That's why we have this dip. So it was at 22.47. They wiped out till 13. See how much they can take out in just a small retracement? Let's look at what that retracement looks like on Bitcoin on a smaller time frame. So looking here, right here, that little move there wiped out billions and billions of dollars worth of over leveraged late positions. So this is exactly what I mean about, we can have a retracement, wipe out a lot of people. It doesn't mean we have to have a full reversal just yet. Currently the delta is at 19. So they've wiped it out and built it back up. And they can just keep doing that if they want to run this as a trend. So far this is looking good because it is looking like a stop hunt candle. It's too early because Asia has just opened. There's 20 minutes left of this 1 hour candle. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame. And you could like that was definitely a stop hunt there, which led to a little bit of a retracement. We could have a repeat going on. You could think that maybe this was an M formation where we have a higher high first, which is a stop hunt. It might end up being, it might not. It's not going to meet my conditions. I would still want to see it happen now in the new session today. So I'm still going to look for some sort of an M formation reversal candlestick pattern on the second peak. And then I'll be happy to short that down, bearing in mind that it could just be a retracement for a higher time frame level. So where could that go to if it were to happen? On the 4 hour, we don't really have any market maker candles to recover. Actually, something interesting I noticed last night, whilst this whole run was running up for Bitcoin, look at that volume decline. So that always makes me skeptical when price is running up but volume is declining. We have a divergence here. So that could also be the thing that's going to lead to our either full reversal or retracement. The reason I want to be in on the short is because I don't know which one it's going to be at this point in time. So better to be prepared than not. So, okay, so the 4 hour is not really giving me good levels if I was to short it. Let's have a look at the heat maps, what we've got going on here. Although the heat maps are also a little bit tricky to track at the moment as well, because as price just keeps going, the orders just keep moving. So certainly if you are trading heat maps yourself, what you want to be watching for is as candles move with speed, you want to start to see the orders in the direction that the candle is moving. So if this candle was moving down, you want to look at the long orders below price, stop moving. You want to see them become static, because that means that, no, that's where bulls want to buy 100%. If this starts to move with speed down and these orders start to move down as well, that's just bottom pickers. Sorry. Who are getting scared of a candle coming at them at speed. So we just need to be careful of that. So currently we've got some pretty big orders at 22,000. We've got a decent one here at 19,900. But yeah, that's about it really. So 22,000. Wait, that's going to be super high. That's only $500 away. So what was the other one? 19,900. Now we want to see if that 19,900 lines up with a market maker candle, and it does. It lines up with this area here. However, it's a pretty big one. It's a pretty big target. So I would be careful as a target. I would be looking at this one first. If we can get that nice reversal signal on the smaller time frames throughout the day and open a short position, this is target 1 here, which is between 21 and 21,250, and then target 2 is between 19,900 and 20,200. There you go, guys. That's my plan for the day. If I don't get that, I'm certainly not longing. I'm already long, so I'm just hedging anyway. But yeah, for a long position, it's either a pullback and you wait for it and then you get in, or you believe the move is over and you want to look for a short. That is on you. If you enjoyed this, if you learned something, please smash that like button. There is 214 people watching right now and 88 likes. Be sure to hit the subscribe. Be sure to turn that bell notification to all so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And also, if you're looking for an exchange to trade on, OKX is my preferred exchange. There is a link in the description down below to get 15% discount off trading fees and up to $2,000 sign-up bonus. And finally, I know there's major FOMO about joining the Discord. It is the 19th of July. So just caution, if you join it now, it's up to you how you do it. Some people join it now to get access to the past 4 months of content so that they can catch up before August starts. Some people want to wait till the first of the month and try to do it all in 1 month. It's completely up to you, but just know that Patreon will charge you at the time that you join and then charge you again on the first of the month moving forward. So if you do join anytime soon, you will be charged again in about 10 days time. Just be aware of that. And if you want to wait, there is a link to the free section. So you can still come in and be part of the community. All the links are in the description down below. Just look for the free welcome section. Come in, say hello, because we love meeting new members. That is it from me, guys. I will see you tomorrow for tomorrow's update. Trade well, be safe, don't FOMO. There is always going to be a pullback at some point. This cannot go on forever. Is it smart to sell now? Yes, it is. Not to like it is. Yes, it is. It is always smart to take profits on the way up. Not saying sell your whole bag. That's up to you. But I've been taking profits ever since CPI on the way up. So there's very little left in my current open long position. But when I get my final full reversal confirmation is when I'll close it completely. But yes, you want to take profits on the way up. You don't want to be taking profits when your trade is reversing. All right, guys, have an amazing day. I'll see you tomorrow.